just looking to see if everybody was here.
Interesting.
We can't get another person up here.
Blue was
And
the
her
color.
Slow
Blue
down,
was the
read the
color.
I talked to,
It's like 8 hours long.
Yeah, it is.
what's his name? Guy in Gainesville. Get his name up in a
It's
minute.
bad. It's all right now for us.
I'm asking.
Ready? All right, it's 5 o'clock. We'll go ahead and go ahead and get started. We'll call the meeting to order. We do have a quorum and we'll declare it open. Appreciate everybody being here this evening. Thanks for coming out. This time, will you join me in the pledge and invocation, please?
With allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You'll pray with me, please. Father God, we're so blessed to be able to come before you and talk about the business of our great city. Father, we ask for protection for our first responders, our fire and police as they're out in the community this evening. We ask for wisdom in the decisions that we make regarding every aspect of this great city. Father, we just thank you for blessing us and keeping us safe through the rains. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Council, we have the minutes of the regular city council meetings of April 19th, 2021 and May 3rd, 2021. Did y'all have an opportunity to review those?
Move to approve the minutes of April 19th and May 3rd.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, council. All right, we are to citizens' comments. Does anyone have anything to visit with the council about regarding the items on the agenda? Yes, Mr. Tracy.
Peter Tracy, 700 block South Valentine. One of the items you're going to have this evening is D4. It's the request to put outdoor displays in the general area of the facility. Currently, I went to this place this past weekend, and what's becoming an issue for me to shop at this location is that the loading zone all across the front of this store is overwhelmed by product and merchandise. And to get around the front of the building, there were several vehicles with utility trailers that were parked out there, and there was hardly any room to get through to even drive in front of the building because the whole place is being overwhelmed by outside products and that. So the question would be, where are these displays going to be located, and what impact is it going to have on traffic flow?
Okay.
I agree.
Thank you, Mr. Tracy. Anyone else? Okay. This time we'll consider the consent agenda. These items are considered to be routine and will be enacted in one motion without discussion unless a council member or citizen requests a specific item be discussed and voted on separately. The consent agenda includes items F4, F5, F6, F7, F8, and F9. Would anybody want these separated for any reason?
If no one has any issues with any of the consent, then I will move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent is approved. Thank you, council. Okay, at this time, we'll open public hearing. Linda, if you'll read D1 for us, please.
Ordinance 6378, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman amending Section 8, subsection 5A, ordinance number 2280, so as to grant a specific use permit to allow a two-family dwelling duplex on a lot 10R, Block 3 of the proposed replat of Shannon Heights Addition, Block 3, lots 10R and 12R, a replat of Shannon Heights Addition, Block 3, part of Lot 9, and all of lots 10, 11, and 12 in an R1 one-family residential district at 2200 North Hickory Street, being 0.520 acres in the J.B. McInerney Survey, abstract number 763, and being part of Lot 9 and all of lots 10, 11, and 12, Block 3 of the replat of Shannon Heights Addition, lots 10R and 12R, a replat of Shannon Heights Addition, Block 3, part of Lot 9, and all of lots 10, 11, and 12, Stedman Investments owner and Preston Trail Land Surveying, LLC surveyor, providing that this specific use permit shall be granted subject to certain conditions, providing a penalty not to exceed $2,000, finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Thank you, Linda. Rob?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. This item's for a specific use permit for a duplex on Hickory. The owner is wanting to plat the lot into 2 lots. The existing home at the corner would remain, and the new lot that would be platted would be a 2,600 square foot, 6-bedroom, 2-car duplex. So that would be 2 units there. P&Z voted to approve the SUP 7-0.
Okay. Rob, is there anyone here to address this item this evening? Okay. If not, Linda, if you'll read D2 for us, please.
Ordinance 6379, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman amending Section 8, subsection 5A, ordinance number 2280, so as to grant a specific use permit to allow a car wash, Wash Masters Car Wash, in a C2 General Commercial District, 01, 75, and 82 Overlay District, at 3100 North US Highway 75, being Lot 1, K7 Corner, Victron Stores LP owner, Kofi Ado Bowman, Consulting Representative, and Merriman Anderson Architect, providing that this specific use permit shall be granted subject to certain conditions, providing a penalty not to exceed $2,000, finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Okay. Thank you, Linda. Rob?
Another corner.
This item's for an SUP for a car wash at this location. The applicant is wanting to demolish the existing gas station and build a full-service car wash. The P&Z board voted to approve it 7-0.
Thank you, Rob. Is there anyone here to address this item this evening? Okay. If not, Linda, will you read D3 for us, please?
Ordinance 6380, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman amending Section 8, subsection 5A, ordinance number 2280, so as to grant a specific use permit to allow a car wash in a C2 General Commercial District, 01, 75, and 82 Overlay District, 1.3 FM Highway 691 Overlay District, at 6121 North US Highway 75, being Lot 2R, replat lots 2 and 3, Block A, Dr. Swami Addition. Saad Hassan, owner, Sunshine Supercenter tenant, Sergio Lopez, representative, and Helvey Wagner Surveying Incorporated surveyor, providing that this specific use permit shall be granted subject to certain conditions, providing a penalty not to exceed $2,000, finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Thank you, Linda. Rob?
This item is also for an SUP for a car wash. The applicant came in originally in 2019 for site plan approval. At that time, they did not have a car wash on the site plan, so that's why they had to come back for site plan approval through P&Z, and because they're adding a car wash, that requires an SUP together with that. Back in 2019, and also for this application, the applicant is requesting a driveway on 691, FM 691. That driveway was not is not allowed. It wasn't allowed in 2019. In this staff review letter this time, it's also not allowed. But what we've been working with the developer, they're working on getting a TIA done to see if there's anything that can be done to make a driveway possible in any way.
But just to be clear, approving a specific use permit does not approve the driveway.
Driveway, that's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you, Ron.
P&Z approved the SUP 7-0.
Okay. That's what we're considering, Council. All right, is there anyone here to address this item this evening?
I am. Is there somewhere that I can hang this by any chance? I can just hold it.
Yeah, he can just hold it. If you'll state your name and address for the record, please. Very good.
So, just a brief introduction before we delve into what is Quick First. I think it's important to know who we are. My father was born into a not so lavish family in a small village in Pakistan. His father and the father before him all came from a long line of military men, so naturally he was no exception to that. Except he was. See, my father possessed something that not many people did at that time. and that was the vision to create his own destiny. So with the clothes on his back and a heart full of will, he set westward on search of better opportunity for himself, his family, and his community. From the treacherous mountain ranges of Afghanistan to the blistering, bone-chilling colds of Berlin, he had seen it all, he had worked it all, but it still wasn't enough. So he set sail for the Americas. He landed in Salt Lake City, Utah with $62 in his right pocket and no family, no friends, nothing to hinge on. In a couple of days' time, he was lucky enough to land a job at a local restaurant where he would work from dawn to dusk and clean dishes until he was promoted to waiter. At this time, his entrepreneurial spirit was beginning to take form, so he set sight in a small town here in North Texas in search of something he could call his own. The first Sunshine Foods opened back in the 70s in Denison, Texas. Fast forward to 1999, and we were able to muster enough to build his very first own gas station, Sunshine Foods number 3, off of 201 South Dewey Sherman. And I stand here now in hopes of building his second store, which will not only be a one-of-a-kind store for us as a family, as a community, but the first of its kind in the industry. Innovation, community, and convenience, these touch the soul of QuickVerse. Our mission to pioneer the future of convenience while create opportunity for our employees and communities to grow. Our debut site here in hometown Sherman is expected to break many barriers in design alone. The storefront will be composed of a 50-foot wide, complete floor-to-ceiling panoramic entrance. The unprecedented style, infinity-style glass will allow customers to see everything without setting foot in the door. Our canopy will feature a distinct arch display with over 1,400 illumination points to create something so impactful that we have decided to patent it. Introducing the QuickVerse Star Horizon canopy, as you see, the world's first starlit canopy. In addition to a 120-foot conveyor wash system, our site will host other amenities such as level 3 EV charging stations and vacuum stations. QuickVerse is bringing an unparalleled drive-through concept that will deliver world-class experiences right from the comfort of our customers' cars. Design is not just what it looks like and feels like, it's how it works. Steve Jobs said that, and he also built Apple out of a garage.
Yeah, can I stop you just for a minute? We're
Short on time?
Yeah, you're supposed to have 3 minutes, but
Sorry.
that's okay. Just tell us about the car wash, that's the special use permit
Sure.
that we're applied for and the council will be considering, so
Sure.
if you can skip to that part.
Gotcha. 120-foot car wash conveyor system, McNeil. It's going to be state-of-the-art. I'm trying to think of anybody who has it similar to what we have, but it's going to be pumping out 3 cars. 1 car every 3 minutes. So we didn't really. We wanted the best there was in the industry, and that's what McNeil is, and that's what we're going to be putting at this site. It's $1 million car wash.
Okay, excellent. All right, so in just a minute when we close public hearing, if the council has any questions, we'll be sure and ask.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Great.
Is there anyone else here to?
Yeah.
We'll come back to you.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll come back to you in a little bit. Anybody else here to speak on this item? Okay, Linda, if you'll read D4 for us, please.
Ordinance 6381, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman amending Section 8, subsection 5A, ordinance number 2280, so as to grant a specific use permit to allow outdoor displays in a C2 General Commercial District, 01, 75, and 82 Overlay District at 2801 North US Highway 75, being lots 3 and 4, Texoma Crossing. Teachers Retirement System of Kentucky owner, Lowe's Home Improvement tenant, Kyle Heimel, Duplantis Design Group architect, providing that this specific use permit shall be granted subject to certain conditions, providing a penalty not to exceed $2,000, finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Thank you, Linda. Rob?
Yeah, Mayor, Council, this is for a specific use permit for the outdoor displays in the Lowe's parking lot. This is actually a condition of their canopy project. They're starting a project to expand their canopy to allow drop-offs and the such. Part of that requirement was to get into conformance with their outdoor displays. An exception was granted for natural landscape screening for this outdoor display by P&Z or by the Board of Adjustments at the last meeting, and P&Z voted to approve it 7-0.
Okay. Thank you, Rob. Is there anyone here to address this item this evening? No, Lowe's. Good evening, Mitch.
Hello, good evening. My name is Mitch Mayer. I'm with Lowe's, and I have along our assistant store manager, Juan Martin, with me in case any questions come up about logistics. But the idea is to, rather than have some type of solid structure, to make it more aesthetically pleasing for customers to come through and people driving through on the 82 and 75 thoroughfare, to see something that's visually attractive, so landscape with trees behind, hedge, and ornamentals in front. And that would get us in compliance with code as opposed to some type of solid wood metal structure. And that's what the variance was about. And that's in contingent upon having our lumber canopy completed. So we're looking forward to getting that done.
All right. Thank you, Mitch. Anyone else here to address this item? Okay.
I didn't see that originally on the item, the hedge, but just a point on that hedge. They're asking for it on the north side, and they have one existing on the east side, and that east side is not being maintained. So the concern is going to be, are they going to go and improve the hedge on the east side at the same time they're installing this hedge on the north side? Because if it's going to wind up being like the east side, it's getting to be pretty distracting.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Tracy. Anyone else? Linda, if you'll read D5 for us, please.
Ordinance 6382, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman amending Section 12, Ordinance Number 2280, so as to include certain property within the R2 Multifamily Residential District located at 208 and 212 East Cherry Street, being 0.154 acres of land in the Samuel Blagg Survey, Abstract Number 56. The Cunningham Family Trust Limited, one owner, Luis Moran, Representative, and Helvey Wagner Surveying, Incorporated Surveyor. Providing a penalty clause, severability clause, and an effective date. Finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Thank you, Linda. Rob?
Mayor, Council, this is an item to rezone this property at 208 and 212 East Cherry to multifamily R2. The owner would like to build a duplex at this location, and Planning and Zoning approved it 7-0.
Thank you, Rob. Is there anyone here to address this item this evening? Linda, if you'll read D6 for us, please.
Ordinance 6383, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman amending Section 12, Ordinance Number 2280, so as to include certain property within the R2 Multifamily Residential District located in the 500 block of North Montgomery Street, being 0.430 acres in the J.B. McInerney Survey, Abstract Number 763, and being all of lots 2 and 3, Block 11, G.W. Bonds Supplement Number 2, Polar Star Lodge Number 33 owner, Leafy Goddess Ventures developer, Jaquita L. Edwards prospective buyer, and Helvey Wagner Surveying surveyor. Providing a penalty not to exceed $2,000, providing a repealing savings clause, severability clause, and an effective date. Finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Thank you, Linda. Rob?
This item is also for a zone change from R1 to R2, so the applicant could build 4 townhome units at this location at Montgomery and Pacific. The P&Z approved it 7-0.
Thank you, Rob. Is there anyone here to address this item this evening? Linda, if you'll read D7 for us, please.
Ordinance 6384, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman amending Chapter 1 of the Code of Ordinances, General Provisions, Article 1.12, Public Library, Division 2, Library Board, Section 1.12.031, Establish composition, qualification of members to eliminate residents of the city designation, providing for a repealer clause, providing for inclusion in the Code of Ordinances, finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Thank you, Linda. Rob?
Yes, this is in response to a discussion we had at the previous council meeting about removing the residency requirement for board members for the Sherman Public Library. So we're just bringing this back in response to direction we received at that meeting.
Thank you. Is there anyone here to address this item this evening? Linda, if you'll read D8 for us, please.
Ordinance 6385, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman amending Chapter 14 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Sherman, Texas, entitled Zoning Ordinance, Article 14.04, entitled General Zoning Ordinance, at Exhibit A, entitled General Zoning Ordinance, providing for inclusion in the Code of Ordinances, modifying certain regulations relating to the schedule of district regulations, supplementary district regulations, and exceptions, administration and enforcement, building permits, certificates of zoning compliance, temporary use permits, and specific use permits, penalties for violation, definitions, and the matrix of permitted uses, providing a repealing clause, a severability clause, and a penalty clause, providing a penalty not to exceed $2,000, finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Thank you, Linda. Rob?
Mayor, Council, at the last meeting, I gave you all a primer on what we would be presenting today for the public hearing for the zoning ordinance update. I've taken the slides from last time, about 25 slides, down to 8. If you'd like, I could go through those really quickly, or if you feel like we're good,
I would love to see those
Me
slides.
too.
You would love to see
Yeah.
the slides?
Yes,
Okay, go ahead, Rob.
absolutely.
He went to all the trouble. He made the slides.
I wanted to see them too.
I already cut it back.
Excited.
All right, only about 8 to 10 slides. We'll go through it. The purpose of the zoning ordinance, as I described at the last meeting, to promote health, safety, general welfare, congestion, reducing congestion, and encouraging the most appropriate use for our land in Sherman. Update on the schedule. Back in October 19th, Council directed us to look at the patio home ordinance and see if there's any changes that need to occur. The patio home subcommittee was created on the 17th of November. We met on the 2nd of March. P&Z approved the motion with certain changes on April 20th, and then we had the primer last council meeting. Excuse me. So on the recommended changes for the patio home ordinance, it's to remain. Our recommendation is to remain it as a specific use permit. Provide the following requirements: maximum lot width of 50 feet, with 55-foot width on corner lots. The maximum living area is 2,500 square feet. We adjusted the open space requirement based on our discussion at the last meeting to provide a requirement for 25 to 49 patio homes with 5% open space. And 50 or more, we left it the same with 10% open space. And we left the condition that no duplexes or two-family dwellings would be permitted. For the fence ordinance, we left it the same. The recommended update would really be for single family. An 8-foot fence would be allowed in the side and rear yards of any property. The front yard would be restricted to a 4-foot fence that would be ornamental. In other words, it would have to be at least 50% spacing. Picket fence or a wrought iron fence would be allowed. We had the recommended change for sight distance so that no fence or hedge would be located within 25 feet of the intersection of two street lines and within 10 feet of the intersection of the street and an alley. And that any variances to that sight distance could be approved through the city engineer. On the multifamily perimeter fence, our recommendation is to leave it as a 6-foot masonry or add the addition for wrought iron with masonry columns. Those masonry columns could be separated at 24 feet on the property line facing public streets and 32 feet on other property lines. And then just some other administrative cleanup items that we did as part of the recommendations is Section 6. We made the following changes. Don't think I need to read them. And Section 7, we made some changes to some of the requirements for special setback streets. We added some detail on signs in our sign ordinance. Section 8, we updated the temporary use permit list and added portable storage containers as a temporary use. And then we updated the SUP list, the specific use permit list. And then sections 15, 16, and the matrix of Exhibit A1 were also updated with just some administrative items. And that's a brief summary of all of the recommended changes for the zoning ordinance.
Okay, thank you, Rob. All right, is there anyone here to address this item this evening? If not, we'll close public hearing and consider the adoption of the ordinances. Council, questions, comments, discussion
Lots of them. Where should I
Okay.
start?
Yeah,
at the beginning?
get it rolling.
Okay. On ordinance number 6379, I personally am concerned about the traffic in that area if the car wash is open and the gas station is torn down. That is a statement, so I just want that to be
Okay.
said.
Isn't there a car wash there now?
Yes, it's a
I don't
small
think
one.
it's,
Yeah, but it's not gonna be like that car wash, right? Is it more like the one in McKinney is what I'm thinking? Who's here for it? Anybody? Nobody.
Yeah, Mr. Addo is here.
It's gonna be
Okay.
just like the one that's across the
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Kofi Addo, 4800 Slide Rock Court, Mansfield, Texas. I'm here representing the developer for that project. May I hear your question again?
Yes, I'm concerned about the traffic, and they're saying the car wash is gonna be what is just like what's there or across the street. But my understanding and listening to the P and Z meeting and seeing the
Saw the
proposed,
pictures.
it is not like that. It's more like the one in McKinney, is that correct? With
I
the
don't know.
canopies and the attendant taking the money and then it goes to a process?
Yes, but yes, exactly. This is one with the lanes on the
Uh-huh.
side and you go through. It's expedited. There's not going to be a lot of employees at that.
There aren't gonna be a lot of
There's
employees?
not a lot. It's probably it's expedited. So you have a station, and occasionally there'll be somebody collecting money, but they're not going to clean the cars or anything like that there.
Okay, and then it just goes through?
Goes through the
the-
system, yeah.
okay,
In-
okay.
Yeah, initially they were looking at trying to employ people, but they realized that we don't have the parking.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure that I understood that. Appreciate your information. Thank you. That's all I have for you. If anybody else has anything for him.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks, man. Sandra, I'd like to go backwards one to 6378. The duplex that's proposed for Hickory, I'm seeing that there's a house there.
That's gonna remain there.
The house is gonna remain, so
Yes.
this will be a duplex in the backyard?
It will be just to the north of the existing house, and that structure that's kind of right in the middle of the lot is actually planned to be torn down so that they can build a new
Oh, I
duplex
get
on
it.
there.
Okay.
So it's, yeah, that
Oh,
will,
okay.
So that one's coming down?
That goes away. And so the main point of, like, the main access point will then be, of course, off Hickory then?
that's correct.
I have a question. How many bedrooms did, this is waste tonight. It's not opening anything.
3 bedrooms, 2 bath, first side.
Per side. Okay, all right.
Six parking
Um,
spots.
I thought they said 6 bedrooms.
Yeah, and that's for both the units.
Okay,
So
that's
3
fine.
bedrooms
I just
on
wanted to
for
clarify
each.
because I couldn't remember
each
from
unit.
my,
Yeah.
because I know that we have a tendency to, if we have 3 bedrooms, we could put, 20 students in there, type thing, and, wow, we won't.
Yeah.
That's
So-
cheap rent.
It's cheap rent.
20
Good college,
Now I
they
have a
like
que-
that.
Ordinance 6380, I have a question.
Did you get your?
Yep, I got it. Let me give up on this.
This is to the gentleman who was telling us his history. I appreciate that, knowing the history. I also would like to know what happened to the gas station along Dewey Street.
So, it's the same gas station, just different chapter.
Okay.
So it used to
it's
be
still
Sunshine.
open?
It's still same ownership, same everything.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. Thank you.
I'd like to bring you around with me everywhere I go to introduce me. to
Yeah,
people.
exactly. That's
Fantastic.
awesome.
So there's one on Dewey that's not open, that's the Chevron. There's the
Chevron's
Sunshine.
Where's the sun-
On that
Exxon.
corner. Okay,
Yeah,
thank
the
you.
Exxon.
Yeah.
There's one shut down.
Thank you.
but yeah.
And when he said that, I realized which one it was. That's all I have for you, but thank you.
Thank you.
And on ordinance 6381 for Lowe's, that one I have mixed thoughts on because they're trying to do what's right, but I am also concerned because the shrubbery, I myself, before I got on council, would call several times to have those cut down so you can see. It's already hard to pull out of Lowe's, or even go by when others are pulling out, because I go Loy Lake every day. So,
I think they're dead now. I think the trees got them.
well, I don't think so.
Replaced.
Something's blocking it. So,
But then again, that traffic is so messed up around there because of the construction right now.
construction or no construction, it's always been difficult to see.
So Rob, the outside storage screening is just gonna be along 82. And the copy I have is fairly hard to read, but I guess the pre-manufactured storage buildings will remain in that. And then it says there's several outdoor storage and staging areas. So are those gonna be screened or not? They're just still gonna be out in the middle of the parking lot?
The only screening that they're proposing, that was approved, was a line along the 82 frontage from the existing building of the gas station and the strip commercial, and then also where the storage containers currently are located on that same side facing the frontage road of 82.
And then,
The other portions of the outdoor storage were kind of already screened by the existing buildings and the other retail businesses.
then on the, I'm gonna call it on the south end, in fact, in this photograph, you can see what I'm talking about. They had lots of trailers and things sitting in that, so all that's going away.
As per the SUP, they would be required to locate all that outdoor storage in the area designated.
And the area there on the north side, that's currently got a chain link fence, that houses plants or something of that nature. All that's gonna be moved, relocated as well?
Yeah, that's not part of their outdoor storage that they're applying for this SUP. So technically, that wouldn't be conforming as well.
So I just wanna make sure we're not, putting a Band-Aid on it and we're saying, okay, we'll let you do this one, but not addressing everything, all at the same time. I know we've got some other folks that are presenting to us and, they're being required to build something pretty substantial, but, I appreciate, the desire to conform, so I do like that.
That's
but-
what I'm saying. That's what,
No.
it's hard. They're here to do what's right.
Right.
So, Rob, I apologize, it's probably in here, but when we talk about outdoor screening, vegetation, what are the requirements? I mean, is there a certain size of the plant to start with, or we wait till it gets to a certain point, and then is there a replacement? I mean, I think those are valid
Yeah,
questions.
that's good.
Very
And those are questions that P&Z asked as well, so it's not a terrible question at all. The requirements for natural screening in our ordinance is 60%, so there has to be 60% coverage in that natural screening, and it has to be alive. So anything that's dead, the red tip phatinas that are along Loy Lake, if those are part of their screening, those need to be replaced. And anything in the future will also need to be replaced if it dies. The height, obviously red tip phatinas can grow pretty significantly, but our requirement is, for commercial, is no higher than 10 feet.
No, I think the red tips along,
You really think they're dead? Guys, are they dead?
yeah, they're dead, but
They're dead.
they're I mean, they served their purpose for many
Oh,
years,
yes.
and it was,
It was fine.
to your point, it was an excellent way of screening that, and it served its purpose.
Wouldn't stop a car though.
No.
Probably not.
No, I know,
But
definitely.
you answered my question. If it dies, then it's a requirement to replace it
They have to
back.
replace what's there.
And 60% of, the initial planting of the screen they have to be screening 60% of what they're intending to screen.
And Lowe's is proposing more than 60%
Yeah,
on
no,
their screening.
I understand that. And my issue has always been more of just in the parking lot. I was a little surprised that the parking requirement, that they were still exceeding the requirement because they use a lot of parking spots for their outdoor. And it gets very tight over there, but that's
Congested,
not my
like
issue.
you said.
Anyways, it is what it is. I just wanted to have some clarification on how the screening would take place and on the south side, where all the stuff is now, that's gonna be moved as well.
Right.
Only in these designated spots.
Yep. Anything outside of that area would be non-conforming.
So I got a question too about maybe procedure, if it's in here. I don't know if it's in here. I didn't read it. But, you know, a lot of times with outdoor storage comes more flying trash and bags and paper and things of that nature that you know, fly off of the products. Unfortunately, it just happens. Is there anything, do we have anything in these special use variances to address trash, littering?
We don't, except for what's in our just general code of ordinances that would prohibit that. If there's any specific requirements that y'all would like to place on through an SUP, you can also do that.
And I'm not talking about maybe necessarily this specific one. I was just curious that, and outdoor feed storage generally is problematic with rodents. And so I know that's something maybe we should look at in the future on moving forwards on as we're looking at these type of things, that we should consider that. So.
And I want to make sure that I'm quite sure that Rob has spoken to you about, you're not the only store, okay, that we're concerned with about this, you know, with outside storage. You're just the first one that's come to us.
Bad or
And
worse.
because we want it to have a nice aesthetic. And possibly, you know, with your plants on the east side, because I was just there this afternoon,
You gotta get one.
maybe you could make the plants come down, because sort of down the road, I mean, the roadway, you know, as it comes down into the entrance, because, you know, as you're sitting there waiting on all this traffic, if you bring your plants all the way up, here I am telling how to do it.
Yeah, I'd stay in
I'm
your
not gonna be
lane,
able to
stay in your
see,
lane.
so maybe curve it down or
I could
something.
have seen Willie doing this.
Yeah.
That's what his job was.
That's right, Willie.
but-
Can you tell us what the best plants to put there?
I need to replace my red tip patinas.
We want it to look
Oh,
good. We want it to look good and attractive, so everybody will go and shop there.
What's the
And at
proper
other
replacement
large
shrubbery?
box stores.
Does the city have a?
We have a list of all the approved trees in our ordinance, our zoning
Okay,
ordinance.
awesome.
Okay. Are we finished with
I think it's
that?
section like 60.
Okay.
We kicked that one pretty.
I'm sure there's no pears on there.
Ready for the
I
next
had
ordinance?
They break.
a question on our library board.
Curve it around for you.
Yes.
So, in the past, when we removed that they don't have to be a citizen, which, I don't know, I missed that part. I don't know why that's an issue. I think library board ought to be a citizen, but we've had, there be some other requirements. I mean, they either work in our city, they own property in our city. I mean, somebody could, anywhere could be on our library board, correct? I mean,
Well, I mean, we still are going to take it'd be through an application process, but this particular board is, it's advisory only, is what I would say. Right? So the decisions that it makes aren't binding on the council or the city. They're simply volunteers that are have the best interest of the library. And so what we have found then is, you know, we would rather have those that are very interested in serving, regardless of their residency, so long as it's not a board that has authority to make decisions that bind. So, you know, the SEDCO boards of the world, the P&Z boards of the world that do have that authority still remain have a residency requirement, and I wouldn't change that at all. So I think the level of this board and what its function is was our thought in allowing it to be a little bit more flexible in its residency requirements. So.
And I would just say, unfortunately, I have this knowledge, the organization that Friends of the Library, they do a lot of volunteer work at the library. A lot of them don't live in Sherman, so they don't have an opportunity
They're
if they
just
wanted
friends, though.
to. Yeah, but sometimes you want to be more than friends.
Good friends.
Sorry.
Good friends.
Had to
wasn't
go
really looking
there.
for
They're not board members.
that, I mean, you answered my question.
He asked for it.
Yeah.
And that
Okay,
board,
next.
how many open board seats does the library have?
Oh, man.
So there's some supply,
Well, we only had, at the
There were
time, we only had one,
Yeah.
it was a supply and demand
Exactly.
issue, so,
Yeah. we've only got one application and it's from a guy that didn't live in Sherman.
that's right.
Could we go backwards?
Please.
Thank you. Ordinance number 6382 is the duplex on East Cherry Street. Again, I thought we were looking towards not having our front yards as driveways, and that is a very narrow street. Next door is another duplex, and it also has 3-bedroom. So, not much to be said with one coming right next door. I wouldn't say at this point now we could deny that and feel good about it, but I'm just saying we're supposed to be trying to keep our yards instead of putting all concrete. There are lots of cars that are parked on that street anyway. So putting a 3-bedroom, 2-bath duplex is a lot of traffic.
Yes. The current the applicant of this property did the duplex just to the east of this.
Right.
And the whole front yard is concrete. He did not include a garage on the existing duplex. This one would include a 1-car garage on each of the units.
For a 3-bedroom.
For the 3-bedroom. So there would be 2, spaces in the front that would be concrete, not 3. So it would be an improvement from the one next door, but
I wouldn't feel good about denying it with that situation, but for the record, I thought we were working on getting rid of this parking in the front concrete situation. Very narrow street,
No, you're right about that.
very narrow, lots of traffic. Last one, I'll go on.
Okay, go
I'm
ahead,
sure
please.
everybody has something. Ordinance 6385, the section 8 for the portable storage in that ordinance. If you don't mind, I'm just going to read. I like to speak for the citizens when they cannot be here. So, lot line properties cannot drop containers for construction. They are lot line and do not have room for containers. Can there be an option to drop the container or containers on an adjacent property as long as the construction permit has been pulled for a lot line property? Downtown Sherman is what we're talking about. So there's no space for these. They're required to get a temporary use permit that takes money out of the construction budget and stifles construction for lot line properties. So in that part, storage is at section 8 for the portable storage, right?
Yep.
So can we make some kind of adjustment for those who have no room for the storage containers?
I think that the Board of Adjustments, the Zoning Board of Adjustments, would be able to probably address that as a case-by-case basis without having to necessarily make a change to the zoning ordinance. Where if there is a situation that's not ideal, that they could make an arrangement to have that somewhere else as part of the temporary use permit.
Okay, so to get a temporary use permit, though, they're going to have to go to P&Z. So that's a timely.
Yes,
So
but what currently is happening is that they're doing the storage containers either illegally, because right now, as it currently states, is that storage containers need to have a specific use permit. So we're trying to actually reduce the amount of time that it takes, or else they're just have the storage containers illegal. They're placed illegally.
And if a person's trying to do it legally, then we need to make it easier for them to do, rather than have to go through and wait for a meeting to come up so that they can do that. So my point is, we need to work on something where the people aren't having to do that, just for the container itself. Okay. At least have something looked at for that. Are you following me?
Yes.
I think we have a carve out for a temporary container, don't we?
But not on that property. I'm saying if that property has no room for it, and it has to be put somewhere else.
Well, I don't know that it addresses that.
That's what I'm saying.
What are you saying? That you'd have to.
Yeah.
I mean, it won't matter.
So
as long as they have permission to put it on an adjacent property from another property owner. If it's a temporary container,
Yeah, then it's covered in this
then
ordinance.
it's covered in our ordinance anyway, right?
That's correct.
If the other
So
property.
one of the conditions that we added to it was that if there's an active building permit, that they could
Yes.
have a
It's
storage
tied to the
container.
permit.
But I guess administratively, I don't even, like, if there gets to a situation where, as staff, we say that storage container is not on your active lot, that you're doing a building permit, then we would probably advise them to go to P&Z to get the temporary use permit to be able to store it on the adjacent lot.
Which is what I'm saying is time consuming.
Right.
It takes time from the construction.
Okay.
But how
Yeah,
often
I
is this
understand.
gonna happen?
Who knows? I hope our downtown starts to grow.
I
I
do
hope that
too.
the area starts to
But, I
grow
mean, if
where
we
we
let 'em
have
not
that.
come to
Yeah,
us,
So,
then we're gonna have people complaining.
and it's something for the future for us to look into, not for discussion tonight.
Okay.
I do have a couple
Yeah, they are
questions.
tied to the permits though. Go ahead.
Oh,
Additionally,
that is true. That is true.
Yeah, so I
So
think they're
maybe it
covered.
is.
They
Yeah.
are.
fast, I'm in and out.
Okay.
So
In and out.
What's time did you-
Yeah.
in the
think I'll buy it.
R1 zoning change, you guys struck the 6,000 square feet. I know that doesn't address that in the code of ordinances,
Reminds me.
but was there a reason for the strike? And yes or no, it doesn't. I mean, if it doesn't affect our entire code of ordinances, it doesn't matter. But
We didn't, we just struck that on the first page of the update. We just struck that because it wasn't consistent with those headings.
okay,
We
fair
didn't
enough.
eliminate the requirement for 6,000 square
Good enough
feet.
for me.
Yep.
And the other one was under M2 designation, certain things were struck like welding and fabrication and metalworking and things of that nature. But then they're included in the chart. Was that a simplification?
Yeah, so one of the reasons is because those items that were struck out were all in M1.5, and anything that's in M1.5 is allowed in M2. So it was just to shorten that list, clarify it. Otherwise, it was saying it in 1.5 and 2. So it's just cleaning it up.
But if somebody had an M2 designation,
They would be allowed all those things
okay,
that you mentioned.
fair enough.
Okay, one more, because you reminded me of it. I noticed that the Planning and Zoning Board was talking about the green space, which we spent a lot of time on talking about on our patio homes last time, and they were concerned that developers would come in and do a smaller amount so that they wouldn't have to be worried about that green space. So maybe that's something we need to reconsider.
I mean, developers need to, build houses to make money. So they'll have to do the adjustment if, they can only want to build 25 houses because they don't want to give up their green space and they want to forego, making money as a developer by building more houses, then I guess their own personal bad economics is their responsibility. But I know a lot of other places have these green space ordinances and no one has taken their ball and gone home and decided they weren't going to build houses there.
But do they seem to be doing a smaller amount, say that with 50 you have to do such and such, and so they only do 49?
There's
Do you see that?
there's economies of scale that, there's still plenty of things to encourage them to build more and not less. So
And currently now it's 0 under 50, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's just probably, it's not an apples to apples comparison because the people who are going to buy 25 or less are not the same people who are going to build 50 or more.
Okay.
I would also mention if they are applying for 24, they still have to apply for a SUP. So that can be brought up during their application is,
Good
hey,
point.
it looks like you're trying to skirt our ordinance.
You
And
better do 15 instead of 25. 'cause
you
we're
can
50.
decide whether it meets the comprehensive master plan.
Yeah.
And Rob, for
Good point.
future purposes, I still want to look at the standard city lot with the smaller setbacks and allowing for the larger homes to make it a little easier on these patio homes on a big lot.
Absolutely.
And I thought we had done that.
Well, it's not addressing this one, but they said they're going to work towards that in the future. And then right now, if they're in between that 50 and 60, or if they're even above the 60, they'll just have to come back for a variance if they want to get their lots platted differently with smaller setbacks, correct?
That's correct. And I'll be presenting at the budget meeting on plans to update that.
All right, council, any other discussion or questions? We're all questioned out?
Yes,
Okay.
we are. Move to approve
Okay.
the ordinances 6378, 6379, 6380, 6381, 6382, 6383, 6384, and 6385.
Okay.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, Linda, if you'll read proposed resolutions 6738 for us.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Sherman approving the Greater Texoma Utility Authority's intention to contract with Lynn Vessels Construction LLC for the construction of the Northwest Sewer and Force Main, finding that the meeting at which this resolution is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Okay, thank you, Linda. Tom?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council. We opened 13 bids on the Northwest Sewer Line project on May 11th, 2021. The purpose of this agenda item is to recommend award concurrently with the GTUA the project to Lynn Vessels Construction, who was low bidder. The project was discussed at GTUA meeting today. It had unanimous approval. The low bid was $1,623,996.56, which was under our $2 million budget. We also will receive a $15,000 deduct for mobilization costs since the contractor was also low bid on the lift station project. So the actual award will be for $1,608,996.56. This 365-day project will serve the upper Harris Creek to include Preston Club subdivision. This project will add 7,000 feet of new force main and over 13,000 feet of new 12, 15, and 18-inch gravity sewer lines.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Council, any questions, discussion about the lines here?
Given that that's a GTUA project, is there any language in the contract that tells us the timelines for this project? I know this is of interest to the folks that live out there, so.
It's 365 days. Yes, sir.
And would start this summer?
As soon as we get these contracts executed, yes, sir. The impetus is to, we move the bid opening date as close to this council meeting.
Yeah.
So the contractors can secure their pipe prices right away. The market is very volatile right now, and so we needed to get it as close to council as we could and still meet this agenda.
This the one that said it needed by tomorrow and for the numbers to stay the same?
Yes,
But
ma'am.
that he would not start until January?
No, that was a different project.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. But the material providers are moving the dates closer and closer to the bid opening, and they say that they needed to award it within 7 days. Normally, that's been 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
With 20,000 feet of pipe, 2 weeks is a huge amount of money.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Can you give us a second, please? Thank you.
All right, Linda, if you'll read E2 for us, please.
Resolution 6739, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Sherman approving the Greater Texoma Utility Authority's intention to contract with Lynn Vessels Construction LLC for the Northwest Lift Station construction, finding that the meeting at which this resolution is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Thank you, Linda. Tom?
Thank you. The purpose of this agenda item is to recommend concurrent with the GTUA, the Northwest Sewer Lift Station project. We opened 7 bids on May 11th, and our engineer, David Gaddis, with Freeman Milliken Engineers, recommends award to Lynn Vessels Construction in the amount of $735,517.05. This project is expected to take 300 days to complete. Once completed, it will serve the Preston Club area. The existing lift stations and package treatment plant will be abandoned on completion. Questions?
You had the, what was the budget on that one? What was the budget?
The budget on that project was, I have that.
This one's still under.
$762,000.
Very good, thank you, Tom.
Yes, sir.
Council, questions, discussion?
Move to approve resolution 6739.
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, thank you, council. All right, Linda, if you'll read E3 for us, please.
Resolution 6740, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Sherman approving the Greater Texoma Utility Authority's intention to contract with Piazza Construction LLC for the wastewater treatment plant operations building addition and remodel. Finding that the meeting at which this resolution is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Thank you, Linda. Tom?
Again, we've opened bids. This time was on April 29th of this year for the wastewater treatment plant operations building improvements project. We had 2 responsive bidders. The low bidder being Piazza Construction in the amount of $1,258,637. A separation of just $38,567 between the 2 bidders, which is a 3% difference. This project is the 4th project of 6 at the wastewater treatment plant in the 2020 Texas Water Development Board Clean Water SRF. The project was $13.595 million loan project. Thus far, we have undertaken $7,836,722, which is 60.5% of our overall projects at that wastewater plant. And currently, we're 5.3% under budget, which is $694,000 under budget. This project is 330 days. It consists of a new lab, office, storage space, quite a bit of work there at the wastewater treatment plant control building. Questions?
This is the one that said he had to have his, but he wants to put us off till January.
Yeah, he did have that stipulation in his bid. The bid is through the Water Development Board. Typically, the Water Development Board is taking anywhere from 30 to 60 days to execute contracts. So if we awarded contracts today, we would probably be into January anyway, by the time he actually gets his materials ordered. And so it renders his issue pretty moot. And then he also submitted a letter.
Yes, I saw that. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
So questions?
Move to approve.
Second?
Any other discussion before the vote's taken?
Well, looked at each other and nobody said anything. so we
Okay, no, I'm just asking. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries, thank you, council.
Thank y'all.
Linda, if you'll read F1 for us, please.
Site plan approval and variance under ordinance number 2252, Article 4, Section 410, 2J and 2G2, and ordinance number 2280, Section 6.8.4, subsection 7, for a Taco Bell restaurant with drive-through and outdoor dining with a 30-foot setback from the south property line in lieu of the required 55.7 foot in the Blaylock Industrial Park, Blaylock Commercial Overlay District at 3310 South US Highway 75.
Okay, thank you, Linda. Rob?
Mayor and council, this is a site plan approval and a variance for a Taco Bell restaurant at Crossroads. As you probably are aware, within the Blaylock Industrial Park, site plan approval and any variances need to come in front of City Council for approval. They are asking for a variance of 30 feet on their south property line in lieu of the required 55.7 feet that is required on all sides. Planning and zoning approved the site plan and the variance 7-0.
Thank you, Rob. Council, questions, discussion?
Why is the setback so large? Is it because it's in the industrial? Okay.
That's correct.
So,
All those parcels have the same setback requirements, and the Panda Express also got the same variance for their building.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, thank you. Okay, Linda, if you read F2 for us, please.
Replat approval of lots 1 and 3 and a part of Lot 5, Block 3, Robert A. King's Addition, being all of lots 1 and 3 and a part of Lot 5, Block 3, Robert A. King's Addition. Walter Ventura, owner, and Helvey Wagner Surveying Surveyor, 702 and 708 South Montgomery Street.
Okay. Thank you, Linda. Rob?
Mayor, Council, we brought this replat up outside of consent because of some potential issues that we as staff see. They're wanting to subdivide those 2 lots into 3. The third lot would be at the back of the 2 lots, and it would face Wells. Wells is a platted alley, and with it being a front-facing street with only, I don't even think 12 feet of asphalt is what's out there, we recommend denial of the plat subject because of safety factors.
Excuse me. Council?
Make a motion. Okay.
Yes, so, Joseph Ventura. So, I bought this property like several years ago. But when I bought them, it was like a complete mess. I mean, I had a duplex on 708. I had a property behind 702. So then the city worked with me to remove those properties. So then I started looking at the properties and said, hey, what's the best way to approach this? So I talked to the surveyor, and we kind of worked out where we can meet the guidelines to build a residential home on Wells Drive and also on 708. So it's the Wells Drive is, I guess, facing behind 702. So then they when I came to the meeting last month, they told me to speak to the fire marshal, so I did, to see if there was enough, I guess, if I get approval to build, would there be access for like the fire truck to get in? So he said to me I could get a CO at the end. Then they asked me about the water lines. You know, I think that I spoke to Vilbig Construction and Lance Wood, and I think they said that I would need like 150 feet, and I think they said they spoke to the utility engineer. I think it was Tom. I'm not sure if you got a call. How you doing, Tom? And I'm not sure if you got a call from Jennifer at Vilbig, and they said that I could run a water line of 150 feet. So that's kind of the 2 items that came up in the last meeting. So I did address those items because I also have to make a financial investment in this and want to make sure that it was feasible and it could be done. So I addressed those 2 items that we're concerned with, and based on the feedback I got, they said I could do it. So I was trying to see if I can get approval to do that.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ventura. Council?
So the questions I have for you, and I think this is probably what you're saying, Rob, is Wells is like one of these alleys that the city has basically abandoned, correct? I mean, I don't know if we've technically abandoned that one yet, but we've abandoned a lot of them throughout the city. You know, that street is probably not maintained and probably couldn't fit the trash trucks, right?
Yeah, there's a number of, it's trash trucks, it's fire trucks, it's the alleys that were never meant to be, weren't built to the standards of streets. And I mean, for all of those reasons, we don't feel like it's safe to have a house that faces, that fronts on Wells and has its address on Wells. Got no problem with it being front facing on Montgomery, of course, but just our standard is that we don't want houses front facing and addressed on
alleys.
On an alley. That's not a street.
Yeah. How wide is it? 10?
I mean, the easement is actually 20, but the actual pavement is 12, 10 to 12 feet.
Can we identify, because there's a ton of them, these little street/alley things down in that area. Can we identify those and start addressing that through a single ordinance to make sure we're not reliving this again?
Well, yeah, and we've actually talked about Part of the confusing thing is we have many of those alleys signed as though they are streets,
Yes.
like street signs. That makes it look like, oh, well, this is 123 Jones Street. Well, it's not Jones, but you know what I'm saying.
I mean, historically, when people were still riding horses, it was a street, but
Yeah, it's just never been, it's not wide enough to meet our standards for safety, for our fire and apparatus and emergency response. So,
Yeah,
we are working and talked as a staff this morning about cleaning up, well, this is one of the oldest areas of Sherman,
Yeah.
and so there's just some cleanup that has to be
Yeah,
done there.
and those streets are nifty, and I'm glad that they're there, because, you know, it sort of harkens back to the olden times, but is it a street or not a street? And if it's not, then, you know, we need to
Mr.
start
Vic-
treating it as if it's not, and if that means, you know, we lose our nifty signs so that we can drive that point home, okay, I could see the confusion, but I agree, you can't.
Sparrow isn't a very wide street either.
Yeah, there's a ton of
There's,
street,
I mean, you know,
of-
so there's
of
not
things
even
that
an
are
access around it from Sparrow.
If there was a, just, you know, parking off of Wells, I don't think I wouldn't have a problem with parking entrance off of Wells. You know, it's easy to get in and out of parking. There's a lot of houses where their parking is off of one of those side streets, but having it fronted on Wells, I don't think I would not be in favor.
Mr. Ventura, too, there's something to
that's what I-
consider. I mean, I just looked, you got 77 feet, or 147 feet across the front on Montgomery. We just passed a patio home ordinance that, I'm not saying it could, but I mean, it might fit the bill to put 3 homes on Montgomery. Because we just passed a patio home ordinance that would allow for under 50 if you came through to get that zoning.
So just turn them.
Just a suggestion.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Are you stuck with what you have here, or are you
That's
open
right,
to
Robert.
other
Yeah.
ideas?
Well, I am. I just wanted to, because when I bought the land, it was in bad shape. So then I just wanted to kind of find a way to kind of make it work, right? So Wells was actually, because it does have like a mail address, right? Wells, I think it's like 212. So when I spoke to the surveyor, I did ask for a variance because of the backyard in 702, and it did fit the width and the length that's required by the city. But I guess I am open to different options. I mean,
Right,
if you
because we're
guys
not
don't-
saying no to you doing anything.
Right.
I personally appreciate you cleaning that area up.
I did,
And
'cause when I
building
bought it,
something
because believe it or
affordable.
not, when I came here 3 years ago to Sherman, I kind of felt that Sherman, like it's grown in the last 3 years.
Yes, oh,
I felt
yes.
that 3 years ago, I took an investment on a property that was in bad shape only because I felt that I wanted the property, I wanted the land at the price that the gentleman had it, and I just kind of sat on it. And I think right now is a time to move forward with it, and I was just trying to find a way to make it work. Because I think it's gonna make that corner a lot better than it is right now, or than it was.
Oh, excuse me.
No problem.
Councilman Timmy, what was you suggesting that he do?
The new patio home ordinance that we just passed, if you came back and asked for patio or patio home zoning and it passed, then you could stack 3 houses in there all on Montgomery.
Oh, because I have, I think
You've got
my-
the width for it.
Yeah, we
Oh,
just
this way.
changed it.
We
Oh,
just
you
changed
did,
it.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because I actually, believe it or not, that was my original plan. But then I spoke to a builder down the street, he was like, no way you can do that. And I'm like, all right, then let me really check. And then that's how I spoke to Patsy before I got into it, she goes, it could possibly work. But I understand, I mean, I want to work with you guys, I want to make that corner look better, but if that's another route, then that's kind of what we can look at as well.
Yep.
So is that something I have to present again to the?
Yes.
Like start the whole process again?
Yep.
Unfortunately.
Okay,
But the city's gonna work with you to get
Yes.
it done just as fast as we can.
okay. So you give me an option, but the Wells is a denial, is that kind of?
Well, we hadn't voted.
Well, they
yet.
hadn't voted yet.
That's right.
Looking that way.
They haven't voted that way.
I wasn't sure.
Just for you to say, you are correct, you're gonna hear us deny this, but
Okay.
it's this, it's not you and it's not what you
I
have.
appreciate that.
I moved
Yeah,
to
we
deny
have-
this.
You can't change it. You can't
Okay.
I second.
Yeah.
Thank
we have to
Okay, we
deny
have
it.
a motion, a second to
All right, thank
deny.
you. No
Now
problem.
they're gonna talk to you about how to do patio
Look.
homes.
Okay,
All
thank you.
in favor of the denial?
Aye.
Any opposed to the denial? Okay. The action is denied. All right. At this time, we'll receive an update on the US Highway 75 construction. Clint, bring it. What good news you have for us?
They're wanting to do a lot more work on the main lanes of 75.
Great.
So we get weekly, bi-weekly emails from TxDOT on lane closures, lane departures, all that kind of stuff, and then weather hits and schedules change constantly. The biggest reason we get those is for notifying dispatch of what's going on, so our emergency vehicles know which routes to take when they get calls. So a couple big changes that have happened. One is the Center Street was closed, and that was, we've kind of talked about it in the past, but that was to divert the main lane traffic off of the highway onto the frontage roads. There is a concrete barrier to separate main lane traffic from frontage road traffic. That was done probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, with the anticipation that both northbound and southbound will have that same thing happen. That allows the contractor to, in theory, get in and get busy and get to work and get complete quickly. Last week we got an email that said that they were going to do the same thing at Washington. So I emailed and said, well, how long?
Thank you.
And they said only 14 months. So,
That's 14 days.
Barely an inconvenience. Barely an inconvenience.
So this was an update just to let you guys know and let the public know that it's going to be difficult. We talked about signal timing with TxDOT, but as you have guessed, if Washington is closed to eastbound and westbound traffic, and Center Street is also closed to eastbound, westbound traffic, you have very few routes to get east and west. So Houston and Lamar will stay open, but it's going to have a lot of backups, right? Especially at around 8 o'clock, around 5 o'clock.
Can you ask them to open both lanes of Lamar?
We've already made that request. We'll see what happens.
That would help.
I also drove today as well about possibly making the U-turns open.
Yes.
I haven't talked to them yet about that. And there's not curb and gutter everywhere, so I don't know if that's a safety problem. But they did point out that they've already incurred lots of change orders because of traffic routes. All that, I mean, you can imagine all the asphalt that they're putting down. That's all temporary. And so they're trying to work, but it's going to get worse before it gets better. North Travis Street will stay the same. The reroute for Washington will be, you'll be routed basically north or south to the next intersection, make a U-turn, and then be redirected. So they're trying to also keep the routing within the frontage road and within the property of TxDOT, but citizens have their own routes that they want to go. So as things back up, you may receive complaints of traffic going elsewhere other than the frontage roads. Once Washington is closed, they will remove the rest of the pedestrian bridge and then start removing the bridges and putting in new bridges and new main lane traffic. After the Washington and Center Street bridges and main lanes are reconstructed, traffic will move onto those and then be diverted off of Houston Lamar and Park, and then at some point North Travis. There's still expectation for the South Travis Street Bridge to be open in August. If you've noticed now, both northbound and southbound main lanes are using the new pavement, which allows them to move forward with the next phase of that bridge construction. I don't know if you've also noticed, but the bridge itself is actually open on the southbound frontage road to go down South Travis. So it's kind of nice to see that. You kind of have to take a shortcut to get there, but they are working. I think every day you see lots of work happening. It's just that your east-westbound through Sherman is going to be difficult for the next probably year and a half.
So Clint, I'll tell you my traffic problem here. I missed an exit the other day, and I had to go all the way 1417 to the Howe. Yeah. So are they going to shut down the rest of these exits now? Or are they going to still let us get off the highway at least? You don't know?
I don't know.
Oh,
I
man.
would say we're trying to promote business at McDonald's and at Panda Express and Quick Trip. That's why we closed all those
Yeah.
exits off, so force you to go down there.
Now, Clint, do you know if these temporary signal controllers that they're using have any sort of adjustment, or is it just sort of random times? Do you know how that works? Could we request that maybe somebody who's ever done a traffic study or understands signaling could be involved in this process at the state level?
Yes.
What can we do about that?
It's like, yeah.
We've emailed them.
Okay.
If we want to try to hire our own person and come up, basically, it can be looked at.
Oh, thank you.
We've already made the complaint numerous
'Cause
times.
I've got one of those right by my house, and I sat with my trusty little stopwatch on my phone here, and it is not consistent with logic or reason.
Nope.
So if we could address that, I would be very happy.
Hey, Clint, you kind of went real fast over it when you said the term change order.
Yes.
So,
TxDOT.
as a,
On our change order.
obviously, there's gonna be some change orders, probably some cost increase. Does that come out of TxDOT's pocket or our
We
percentage
have
of
not
our
been
pocket?
we have not been approached at all about having to pay for any change orders.
I'll make a motion.
The few there has been a couple different projects where cost before construction has come up, and they've come and made requests on whether we want to pay for that change order or not. But on this project, we have not seen any requests. I'm not going to promise that they won't
They're
come.
gonna save it. They're gonna save it.
But we would do I'm assuming our 10% of, that's.
Worst case, that would be, unless it's something that we request. So if we were to come in and, yeah, 5%,
County's fine.
the county, yeah.
Yeah.
Unless it was a request that we made.
And what you mean by we would do it, you mean they would like for us to do it.
Yeah,
We
we
would
had-
obviously not
Yeah.
do it.
Some ridiculous need for east-west traffic in our city,
Yeah.
and we're willing to pay for it.
Thank
So
you.
that's the great news I have.
Thanks.
All right, thank you for that good news. Okay, media questions. Anything tonight?
Got
No?
another item?
Okay, council comments. Sorry?
Hi. Well, one thing that I want to say is I received an email from Melissa Schmitz. I hope I'm saying that right. She is giving kudos to our parks maintenance, and so I told her how much I appreciate that. She said the field maintenance crew of Tony Brown's were amazing and worked hard to get the only field they have available to play on away from water, and also worked through the night after the games to get it ready for Saturday morning. And I always want to give kudos where kudos are due, and so I appreciate her reaching out, and thank y'all for doing that.
I have no comment, because that was what I was gonna make a comment on.
Me too. That's it.
Okay.
No comment.
No comment.
Same for me, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so just a few announcements tonight. Please make plans to visit historic downtown Sherman this Thursday, May 20th for Third Thursday Art Walk. There'll be more than a dozen local artists on hand to display their work. It'll be from 5 to 8. We're 2 weeks away from the first concert of Hot Summer Nights 2021. Kick things off this year, we'll have Cody Canada and The Departed on hand. So come out early, June 3rd, to get your best spot on the lawn. And finally, get your tickets for Craft the Night Away on June 19th. It's one of our largest events in the Central Business District. There'll also be a fiddling contest down there, so.
Hey,
be
I'm
sure-
in.
Yeah, be sure and come be a part of that. City Council will now hold a closed executive session pursuant to the Texas Open Meetings Act at section 551.071 to seek advice of the city attorney regarding the wastewater treatment agreement dated November 2nd, 2009, and ERCOT fees. And section 551.087 to discuss the draft master development agreement with Heritage Ranch Land Holdings and discuss Shepherd's Place plan development. So it's 6:17. We'll go into executive session. Thank you.
Mr. Hassan, I volunteer to let you